What's up, legends? Benchmark Bets is back, and today we've got a nice little AFL slate to break down, with Richmond taking on Port Adelaide at the MCG, and the Swans going up against the Eagles at Optus Stadium. In this video, I'm going to run through my predictions for the winner, my prediction on the game totals, and of course any other bets and player props that I'm liking on the board. So buckle up, I've done the homework, let's hit these and stack these wins. Alright, let's start with the first game between Richmond and Port Adelaide. So let's start with the team news. And starting with Richmond, they welcome back Nathan Broad for the injured Noah Bolter. That is a loss for them, but Broad should be able to step in the shoes of Bolter pretty easily. Then they've also brought in Samson Ryan to handle the ruck duties, which was definitely needed, especially from last week when they were seriously undersized, with going with the foul as their ruckman, and also undersized and also just wasn't ready to be a ruckman yet. Then we have Liam Fawcett and also Kane McAuliffe coming in for Harry Armstrong and also Hugo Ralphsmith. I would say that Armstrong and Ralphsmith are the better players out of those two, but nothing much to be missed there. And then now on the Port Adelaide side, huge inclusion with Ollie Wines finally making it back in, and he replaces Will Brodie, who only played about 50% game time last week, so definitely needs to play some more time in the VFL to get his fitness up. Then they are also bringing in Miles Bergman for the injured Sava Radicalizia. That's a huge loss for them as well, but not that much impactful against Tigers as they don't really have a forward line at the moment. And then they also have a debutant in Mitch Sadal coming in for Jackson Mead, who definitely needs to spend some time in the Sandful. And in terms of the winner, definitely going with Port Adelaide here to win, and to win by 25 plus points. I think this game stays relatively close until halftime, but once that happens, Port Adelaide will come out and settle in with their class and composure, and they should take over. So Richmond are still a rebuilding side, and Port Adelaide are just much more polished. And not only that, they need to make a statement, especially losing to the Eagles last week. And yeah, Port Adelaide should be able to win this game pretty easily. And then in terms of the total, bookies have this set at 178.5. And honestly, I lean the under, but mainly for the Richmond side. So instead of taking that, I'm going to take the Richmond total points of 81.5. I'm taking the under here. So they've only gone over this line once in the last 5 games against each other, with that game being at the MCG. Yes, at the MCG, but that was 2 years ago, and I'd say the Tigers are a bit worse than what they were then. And then, yeah, like I was saying, this is a very different side compared to the Richmond side of 2024. And then now for the player props, and the one I'm taking is Tim Taranto for 24 plus disposals. You can get that on TAB for $1.65 with the one disposal rule. So he's been an absolute ball magnet this year for them, averaging, when I can get it up for you. So for this year, he is averaging 26.3 disposals. And then since 2024 at the MCG, he has gone over this line he's only gone under this line in 5 out of the last 22 games. He's the number 1 CBA guy for Richmond, and they're a chance of competing. It just starts with him. Expect him to be around the ball all day and trying to get those disposals wherever he can. So now let's head to the second game of the slate between West Coast Eagles and Sydney Swans at Optus Stadium. And then let's go through the team news. So let's start with the Eagles side. And they are welcoming in Sandy Brock, Malachi Champion, and also Matthew Owes, who replaces Devin Robertson, who is suspended, Jacob Newton, a rookie for them this year, and also Elliot Yeo, who will be missed. So Matthew Owes will definitely slot in for Elliot Yeo in the forward line. And then in terms of Swan side, they are welcoming back Isaac Heaney, which is a huge in for them, and they are meeting Aiden Cleary, who definitely isn't AFL level yet and needs some time in the twos. And then in terms of the winner, I do have Sydney winning this pretty easily, but I don't think it'll be a 40+ game. I reckon it'll be 1-39. So they're just a much more superior side. Elite midfield, elite forward line. They're one of the favourites to win the flag for a reason. And this is going to be a big step up in class for the Eagles here today. And then in terms of the total, they have this set at 182.5. And honestly, I lean under here as well, but mainly for the Eagles side. So I'm definitely going to take Eagles total margin of 74.5. Yes, I know that's a bit low for a total, but I just don't see the Eagles being able to score even 60 points here today. So I'm going to definitely taking that under 74.5. So in terms of their last 5 to 5 head-to-head matchups, it's only gone over this line once, and that was at a completely random park in 2024. So in terms of playing at Optus, the last 2 times, they've only scored 58 and 51 points, and the closest one being just last year, end of last year. So the Eagles are a bit better than what they were since their last game against the Swans, but I just still don't see them being able to beat Sydney with pretty much a full lineup except for Goulden being out, and just with elite defense, elite forward, but actually a much better forward line than what they had last year, and also a pretty decent midfield. I just don't see the Eagles can be able to compete with them. They might compete until halftime, but then once after that, they're just going to shut down, and Swans should be able to run away with the game pretty easily. And then in terms of player props, I'm liking one here, and that is for my boy, Angus Sheldrick, for 22+ disposals. So you can get that on Sportsbet for 1.64 odds. So since playing in the midfield, he's over this line in 4 out of 6 games, averaging 23 disposals per game. He doesn't play as that general CBA midfielder. He plays more of that high half forward who pretty much runs into the midfield as soon as the ball's thrown up. Sometimes plays in the CBAs a bit, up to like maybe 30-35%, but not your typical proper inside midfielder. Yeah, he should definitely be around the ball a lot today. Does have a good matchup. The Eagles give up the 5th most amount of disposals to inside mids, which Sheldrick should line up today, and especially without Goulden, I can see him being in that CBA at least 40-50% of the time. So yeah, very nice line for Sheldrick here today. And then that's it for the picks today, legends. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. All my picks, full card and bonus plays are always in the Discord, so just make sure you go check that out whenever you can. Until next time, stay safe, good luck with your bets, gamble responsibly, and I'll catch you in the next one. Laters.